We are live right now. We're live right now.
What's your first question going to be? Alhasan?
My first question will be your diplomacy journey.
My
Your
journey.
Yeah,
Okay.
as a diplomat. You know. Baffled. Yeah. As that. Baffled. Yeah.
You're listening to Soma FM, your reference and proximity community radio.
Thank you very much if you're just tuning in to Soma Community Radio. Today we have a special guest from the U.S. Embassy, the United States Ambassador to the Gambia. Who is Sharon Cromer, who will be speaking to today about several issues at the embassy in the Gambia, between the Gambia and the United States. So my name is Alhasan Bah, a 2016 Mandela Washington Fellow. I think the most fortunate Mandela Washington Fellow, or even American Fellow in the Gambia. So the importance of today's discussion is to be able to inspire the women, to be able to understand the power that women have, because there are research that are made that are concrete, that if women are part of political arena or even the socio-economic activities, then the countries can just come up, especially Sub-Saharan Africa. So thank you for joining in. If you're joining in, just to remind you, my name is Alhasan Bah, and I'm hosting today the United States Ambassador to the Gambia, Sharon Cromer, who is with me here. So Sharon, welcome to our radio.
Thank you, Alhasan. It's very nice to be here.
I'm so glad. I'm so emotional, so nervous,
No, don't
talking
be.
to you. So, but actually, can you take us through your journey as an ambassador from education to becoming a United States diplomat?
Okay. It's been a long journey, let me say. I was born in Washington, D.C., in the capital of the United States, where our government is located. But I grew up in a poor neighborhood. I had to work hard. I had to study hard. I was the eldest child, and I took care of my younger brothers and sisters while my mother worked. And so I was determined to get a good education. And so I had an opportunity to get a scholarship to go to a private school where I did get a very good education. And I went on to university in New York City at Barnard College at Columbia University. And there I had an opportunity to travel to Africa. I was posted in Liberia with several other university students where we worked at a boys' school, laying the concrete foundation for a school block. After our work, we traveled through West Africa with backpacks, and we met a young Gambian teacher while we were in a bush taxi going to Sierra Leone, and he invited us to the Gambia, to his village. It was at the end of Ramadan. He was going back home to celebrate Eid al-Fitr with his family, and he invited us to come along. And we accepted. And we spent 2 or 3 days in his village, and it was wonderful. Everyone was so welcoming. They fed us. They feted us. We had a wonderful time. And that started my journey to return to Africa and explore not only Africa, but the world. So I joined the Foreign Service, and I've worked in Pakistan, in Indonesia, in Tanzania, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Nigeria, and traveled many other places. I worked with the U.S. Agency for International Development for 35 years, and it was my hoped to return to the Gambia one day. I did when I was a regional officer in Dakar. I had an opportunity to travel here many times between 1991 and 96. And now I'm back as U.S. Ambassador. I am so happy to be here.
I think that's a great journey that you had. And what it resonates to me is sometimes how people will struggle from the lowest level and not knowing one day, you'll be at that top level. But as a woman diplomat, we know even in America, as democracy is so fragile, it's not, democracy always comes with challenges. What are some of the challenges that women face, but what are some of also the resistance that women have to say, we are women, because we know we've seen the first time an African American vice president in America, and I'm so happy that I was in Auckland too, where she grew up, and I was happy that the mom went to Park Leaf, where I also was. What are some of the things that you come across as a woman taking up this leadership role? Because we know it's so much challenging, especially in Africa, where most women are forced to get married early, and people could not just understand why education.
Education is so important for everyone, but particularly the woman. Because when a woman is educated, she then values herself and her children and the young girls to come. But what I've found in every country I've worked in is that women are the most hardworking, determined people on earth. They are self-sacrificing most of the time. And you find women working in agriculture, women teaching young children in the schools, at the primary school level, which is so important, the foundational level where children learn to read and write. You find women in health clinics, in primary health clinics, giving care to infants and pregnant women. Women who are at home, putting food on the table, making sure their children go to school, particularly the girl child, to go to school, to have enough to eat and to have clothes on their back. Women take care of the household everywhere around the world. It's so important. And it's so important because the women are at the ground level. They know the challenges, they know the hardships, and they know also the solutions. That women have a voice in the National Assembly, in government, in academia, so they can carry those challenges and those solutions to the forefront for the benefit of the nation.
I quite agree. I mean, even looking at the world presently, where women are leading during even the pandemic, they did better than where men were ruling. For example, like Germany, New Zealand, we've seen those things. I think Gambia women need to understand that the playing ground will not be level because everyone wants to fight for himself. But coming back to the same thing, that we know climate change is an issue, and I'm so glad that you were part of planting those mangroves because mangroves also contribute a lot in reducing the carbon emission. But climate change here, people don't believe it. Like it's also difficult for sometimes experts around to bring it to this low level where people can understand how the impact is going to affect it. Because we believe the pandemic is caused as a result of climate change. And we are not going to see only the pandemic, this one pandemic. Pandemics will be coming. So how will we be able to talk about the pandemic and what is the role of the US Embassy to be able to say we have special funding for only climate change so that people can work on the climate change, or else we may lose this planet we live in.
Well, I was so thankful to have that opportunity to go out with the young environmentalists to the mangrove planting event and actually put mangrove trees in the ground. That was a wonderful experience, and I think more people need to volunteer to do that, to clean up our environment, keep it clean, not just clean it up one day, but keep it clean, and to plant more trees. As you said, mangroves are critical to preventing erosion. They provide livelihoods, particularly for women, and it's essential that we preserve the mangroves and other trees for this planet. I was in a cashew. I was on a cashew farm earlier today in New Barbara. Is that Baraba? Banta. Yes. Yeah. I'm sorry. I'm learning these new names. I'm going around the country for the first time, so forgive me. But I was speaking to a cashew farmer. He also does beekeeping. And he said, this has been a difficult season. The bees aren't producing honey because it's too warm this year. The climate has changed and it's too warm. So they've missed 2 rounds of bees producing honey. This is an example right here on the ground in the Gambia of how climate change is impacting the environment, the animals, and in turn, the ability of Gambians to produce foods and products that they can sell and help their families. So climate change is real.
Yeah, and I think it is very important for everybody to say, okay, I should be able to do something.
Yes.
Because I know the climate change doesn't affect only one side of the country. Because we've seen in last rainy season, there was a windstorm, the biggest windstorm ever recorded in this country. That has almost wiped out the entire North Bank region, which is so much devastating for many communities where you have very low vegetation.
Wow. And
my next question, because I know we don't have time, running out of time. The United States Embassy has been a very supportive embassy, globally. The United States is the biggest contributor in the United Nations. But even at the grassroots level in the Gambia, we have seen the United States not only supporting the government in terms of funding, we have seen it support local communities. For example, like my community, we have benefited a lot of funding. The first basketball championship for females, we started with 2 years embassy funding. Yeah, of course. You know, and we also have funding for the emergency grants. We held a campaign to tell people about COVID-19, how to prevent themselves, you know, in the smallest communities where we believe many people would not have been to, at the border communities. And that was so huge because people were calling, we are also doing radio programs, we were calling and they were leaving some incentive. And they were telling us how they felt, you know, before, and because we know misinformation is just rampant today.
Yes.
And but how can somebody access these fundings? How can somebody, because I know how to access the funding, I know through the process, but sometimes they want to hear from the embassy. How can somebody access the funding, and what do you require or need to have to be able to get this funding?
Well, we have many programs to support Gambians in their quest to improve their lives. And our public affairs section at the embassy, led by Susan Solomon, who's here today with me, runs many of those grant programs. Earlier today, I was able to visit Brikama, the governor there, and I told him about some of the programs that we funded in Brikama. For example, we helped to construct a poultry house and help the poultry farmer, I guess, or show him how to produce more eggs and get them to market and to sell them. We are helping, and actually that program is going to impact 500 people. We have another program where we are building capacity for people with disabilities to mill grain, and that's going to impact 2,000 people. So we're doing quite a bit. We have a grants program. I think if you look online at our embassy website, you can find out about these grants, and you can apply. I think it's fairly easy to apply. We just need a description of what you would do with the funding and the like. So I encourage everyone who's hardworking out there, who needs just a little help to make your lives better and those of your community, because we're looking for a wider impact than just an individual. So please look at our website.
Yeah, and I can even attest to some of the projects. For example, like this year, we hosted students from all over the country because of the US Embassy funding, from Banjul to Basse for the first time because of the funding.
Okay.
To train them on videos and other things. So, and we also know the US Embassy at this primary school, they built a borehole at the primary school behind there,
yes,
where students of 1,500 people are in the school. And the last question I'm going to ask will be on the vaccine, because I know vaccines are something that has come with misconceptions. Because today we are endowed with internet. You know, thank God the United States brought internet. But today also we are faced with a big challenge of people putting misinformation anyhow, and just because we have the information in our pockets, we can say anything we want at any time, and it's difficult to control.
Yes.
And when the vaccines came, when the virus came, when the vaccine came, the misconceptions were too much. And me alone talking to people was like, he's just talking. But it's very important for people to know these vaccines are safe, they are well checked. The same vaccines are given to people from all over the world. It's not, okay, we're making this vaccine for Africa, we're making this vaccine for America. And after taking the vaccine, that's AstraZeneca, what will you tell people, because the rollout is today coming out by ministry, to come out and understand taking the vaccine can also prevent some of the illnesses.
Yes.
And the United States is standing to champion this because we know they take a bold step to invest money in this so that it won't go to waste.
Yes, thank you for asking that question. It's so important, and it's personal to me because I had COVID-19. I caught it before the vaccine came out, and it was devastating. I was seriously ill for 2.5, almost 3 weeks. And even after I recovered, I still had some lingering problems. And my brother, much younger than I am, who's in the U.S. Military, also had COVID well before it was well known, and he recovered, but he still has problems associated. So this is a disease you do not want to get, because if you have vulnerabilities, you may not make it through. But if you make it through and you recover, you may have lingering problems that it's very difficult to overcome. So we have the capacity through science to come up with a vaccine to prevent us from getting ill and having these lingering problems. I urge people to take the vaccine because this is a terrible disease. You do not want to get it. You do not want to get it. I've had 2 shots, and I plan to get my booster very soon. And this is like many other vaccines that you get to prevent you from getting serious diseases that could make you very ill or kill you. We stand in line and we make sure that our children are vaccinated against measles. We vaccinate ourselves against yellow fever, against many other diseases, because we don't want to get them and get sick, die, or fall seriously ill. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. The U.S. government has donated 400,000 vaccines to the Gambia and millions of vaccines across the world. As you say, they're safe. They're safe. We wouldn't do it if they weren't safe. And we do it because we want the Gambia to be a strong partner in trade, in building democracies, being a model democratic state. We want to see Gambians be models for the world. So thank you for that question.
Yeah, so the final question will be, again, what is your
Another
favorite?
final question?
Yeah, you know, like, I'm a teacher, so, you know, the teachers and journalists, you know. So what, in your coming to the Gambia, I know this is not the first time.
No.
And Senegal, you know, we have, you know, jollof rice, we usually fight, you know, over, you know, the Nigerians will say, we own jollof rice, but what is your favorite food in the Gambia? And overall, the cultures and all this diversity in this country?
Well, it's so much diversity here. I have yet to travel the country. This is my first trip, official trip outside of Banjul. So I'm going to taste different dishes along the way. So when I finish the tour, I'll come back and answer that question for you. But I've had many delicious dishes, and I am open, and I like to try new things. And I am very excited to be here and taste Gambian cuisine and experience the arts. I'm just so excited to be here. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, for coming to our radio station. And this is all that we have for you today. And we are saying another rendezvous in the future. Hope we'll bring back the Ambassador to talk more, because we know one thing, being part of the a partner of the ambassador is so much privilege. But actually, I always tell people the US Embassy is one of the most open embassies in the country, because usually it's the only embassy that will come to the grassroots level, talk to people. And I know it's not only in Soma. I've known the CCC club in the high schools where the embassy will go talk to students, provide opportunities. And I know there are a lot of opportunities. The Humphrey Fellowship also is online, and people can just apply with bachelor's degree to become part of research. Because, I mean, I've been to America, and I know the university I've been to is the best university in America. I know Harvard people will be like, oh, but I know Berkeley is the best university in America. Carl Gobiers. Yeah, so thank you so much for being with us, Ambassador. Thank you so much. And thank you, Sharon, for coming and joining us today. So thank you, Martin, by my co-host, and Bafori, thank you so much for moderating the machines, and CNE for coming. So thank you so much. We'll go to the library, talk to my students, and see. Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
You're listening to Soma FM.
Yeah, because how to call it? The Mandela Washington Post Facebook group was like, that would be exciting, you know, we want to see some pictures.
Okay.
He's a Cal student, so
Yeah.
that's like dear to my heart.
Okay. I saw you over there.
Yeah.
That was great. That was
Yeah.
really
Oh, good.
We're not pressed here. Take it. Yeah, do those. Those. Take it.
Wait, I have to
Press. Oh my. Okay.
Wait, I'll take a picture right here.
Yeah. Take it. Press. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I have some pictures.
Yeah, of course.